Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, December 14th, 2016. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The five-star Buckermans Bay Resort is facing another major setback. According to information reaching SVG-TV News, the power supply at the resort has been disconnected due to non-payment of the bills, which reportedly amount to over $1 million EC. Trade unionist Burns Bonady told SVG-TV News via the telephone this evening that the situation at the resort has been spiraling out of control and needs to be addressed as it is totally unacceptable. Bonady further urged persons to pay attention to what is expected to unfold in tomorrow's session of Parliament.
Connected the supply and that they are apparently owing Vinlet about $1.6 million. And so I suspect that they hear all the things that are going on, maybe reading what they find in the newspapers. Nobody really apparently been talking to them. In my opinion, if Mr. Ames and who run in the hotel had any respect, not only for the workers who work there, but knowing that they have already taken money from people and the people travel to St. Vincent, why do you want to put them through this predicament now? On Ames's part now, nothing now to do with the government. On his part, they will have to make the decision because they're the ones who are telling the guests to leave. You understand?
Right.
Because if you have a little problem that the electricity is out, maybe some fault and so on, if you have to pay. But there seems to be no intention of paying up.
Meanwhile, a guest who was staying at the resort said he and others were asked to leave the resort today and that they are appalled with the situation there, noting that their experience has been far from accommodating.
We were told no electricity because the guy didn't pay the bill. We're being shipped out. They asked for money in advance. There is no way it's going to be reimbursed. When we first arrived, only 20% of the services were available. Out of the 4 restaurants, only 1 was operational. They had a skeletal staff that did the best that they could, but we were not notified before we came, prior to coming, that it was a reduced staff and reduced privileges. Absolutely no entertainment. Today we wake up, we're told we have to leave the hotel. Initially, we were told it was maintenance, which didn't make any sense to turn off electricity for the whole resort. Later, we found out that the person who runs this place did not pay the bill. So everyone, we paid $2,000 for a week, and we probably will not see any of it. We even have to pay for the change in ticket to get back to Barbados, from which we came.
And you're planning to get back to Barbados today or
well,
tomorrow?
We have to. We have to be off the property because there's no electricity.
So
we have to go to the airport, and they didn't make any, there was no accommodations for this at all. You just had to find your way out. And what we had to do is literally, not them, we had to call Leeward and make a change at the expense of another $200 US to change the ticket. Our flight was at 7:15, but there were no seats in Barbados, so the first flight out was at 2200, and they have 2 tickets, but we had to pay for that also,
as well as other guests, okay.
as well as many other guests.
In related news, the ongoing issue of overdue payments of salaries to workers at the resort should not be overlooked, as it may have implications on similar developments here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's according to educator Philbert John in his remarks on the Issues at Hand radio program last Sunday, December 11th. John noted that in his opinion, the human resources practices at the resort have left a lot to be desired by the employees, called for a quick resolution to the matter.
That has to be a situation where it can severely affect people's mental health too. I'm very, 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 very concerned. Buckermans Resort has been pushed as a flagship project for tourism development in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I think initially, at the start of the operations, it got generally good reviews. That from what I've seen over the years. Already people are questioning whether we should have that kind of development again, giving the impression that Bukuma, what is happening, could well be the model that could be adopted by other investors. And as a destination, I think that kind of behavior is tarnishing St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Commending the Minister of Labour, Camila Gonzalez, for declaring that every legal option will be pursued as it regards to the matter. Human Development Consultant Cecil Ryan shared the views of John, noting that the payment of salaries to workers is a fundamental obligation of every employer.
Clearly, the facility is happening. People are going there. Are they not making money to cover those critical areas of as workers' salary and so on? It seems to me, when you're involved in an activity, a business activity, what are the first things you have to make sure you cover? It's pay for workers. You have to cover pay for workers. Because they're the ones who will enable you to generate further income. So why you don't want to make your workers, why don't you want to make them happy?
In other news, Transport Works, Urban Development and Local Government Minister Julian Francis is commending the private sector for playing a leading role in lending assistance to the victims of the recent trough systems. Explaining the steady progress of the cleanup works taking place on the northern side of the island. In an interview today with SVG-TV News, Minister Francis says the initiative taken by the private sector has lessened the pressure on the government as well as the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO.
I'm pleased about in this disaster was the response of the private sector, individuals, community groups, commercial enterprises in Kingstown. I'm really happy with that response. It has taken a lot of load off of the central government and NEMO to be able to make these creature comforts available. And I really want to compliment them on it. I think we should have that as a yardstick by which we deal in every disaster from now on.
Speaking on the progress of work as it relates to the cleanup exercise, the Transport and Works Minister said the main challenge was the shortage of machinery.
One of our setbacks, as I've repeated many times since this last disaster, was Canada has robbed us of significant amount of heavy equipment. I would say between 40 and 50 pieces of heavy equipment in Canada that we have used to speed up things in the 2013 disaster, which are not available to us now. So that leaves us with some lighter machinery and not enough to fill the geographic space that we have.
But would that pose a challenge in terms of hindering you from meeting your deadline or prospective deadline?
Well, it would be nice to return the creature comforts as soon as possible, but I think when people see an effort is being made, they'll be satisfied and help themselves also.
The trough system also caused damage on the Leeward side of the island, and Minister Francis is assuring affected residents there that they are not forgotten.
Bank Roads, Darview, Richmond River in that area going down, and a lot of the feeder roads in the interior, like behind Rose Hall. Rose Hall has been badly affected. We have maybe one or two pieces of equipment down there. But I want to reassure the people up in North Leeward that we're not only concentrating on North Windward. They had the focus in 2013 because North Leeward was mostly had more of the devastation, and the energies were spent in North Leeward. So now that North Windward is getting some more attention, but we want to bear in mind also that there is a disaster zone also in North Leeward. From Cumberland northwards, significant damage.
As Vincentians get into the festive season, Minister Francis is urging persons to donate something to the victims, noting that it is of great importance to help bring back some sort of normalcy to those affected. And the hassle of commuting for residents on the windward side of the island will be eased soon as repair works on the Argyle Bypass Road is well on the way to completion. The road was severely damaged as a result of torrential rain during the passage of a trough system in 2014 and again in early November this year. SVG-TV's Nolisha Miller visited the site today, where she got a first-hand look at the progress of work taking place there.
Major progress has been made to get the Argyle Bypass Road open to vehicular traffic once more. The torrential rain in November caused the road to be severely damaged, forcing authorities to deem the road impassable to vehicular traffic. The diversion of traffic from the area has been a headache for commuters who have been complaining about the length of time it takes to get in and out of the main business hub in capital Kingstown. At the site today, where workers were busy engaged in the restorative work, we caught up with project manager of Intertech Services Limited, Paul Clifford. He explained that while the weather posed some challenges in the initial stages of the project, he is pleased to report that work is progressing smoothly, and added that they are right on target to meet the completion deadline.
We're just putting down the 6-inch last layer of, it's called crusher run material, 1.5 inch and down. We put that down now, today. Hopefully we will finish grading it and compacting it today, and we should be ready for asphalt either tomorrow or Friday.
Clifford, however, explained that there are still a lot of work to be done to prevent future damage to the bypass road, but they will get it done in time.
There is a lot of outstanding work. Once we've asphalted the road, there is a lot of other work to do. We have a lot of gabion baskets to do. We have some French drains underneath this road, about 20 foot deep, and we need to connect all of those so that any future water that comes down the hillside hopefully goes into these drains, and it will eventually go down to a big box drain on the airport.
The project manager took the opportunity to elaborate on the detailed works that are set to take place in the coming days.
This farm road that's up behind us, that's actually going to be concreted all the way up to the bend, and there will be a box drain that runs on the outside of the farm road, which will run down here onto this side of the road and connect to a drain around the corner there. So that will take all the water off that hillside. Then there is a crossfall on this road. We've created a crossfall, so any water that comes off the hillside onto the road will go across the road to this side, where we'll have a series of gabion baskets, and the water will filter through those and down into the French drains and escape.
Meantime, Minister of Transport, Works, Urban Development and the Local Government, Julian Francis, in a recent statement on his local radio program, stated that while he cannot put a specific date for the completion of work on the bypass road, they are hoping it will be ready to reopen in early 2017, and further commended the project manager and the workers for their work done thus far.
The thing is, they worked extra hours. Sometimes they leave at 11 o'clock at night. They got lights, so they've been working extra hours. Sometimes Paul's day is like 5 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. So, I like that work ethic because I'm here with them sometimes. I stay to keep their company and
so you're a hands-on minister?
Well, I try to lead by example. If you're there, they know that you have interest. If you leave and go home and snuggle up in your bed and warm while you're out in the rain, it's not good. It's not good for their morale. So be part of the team, and that helps.
Minister Francis stated that the work is estimating to some $1.2 million. Nolisha Miller, The Evening News.
Opposition Member of Parliament Major Sinclair Leacock is expected to address Parliament tomorrow, where he is expected to speak on his future in politics. On radio recently, the opposition MP for Central Kingstown expressed his annoyance with a social media post in which he said he was criticized in his personal and political capacity, of which he will not tolerate, especially by supporters of his own party. Leacock was up to contest the leadership position of the New Democratic Party, but stepped down at the last minute at the party's recently held convention. The position automatically went to Dr. Godwin Friday, who had been appointed opposition leader after Arnim Eustace stepped down. On radio last Friday, Leacock described the ridicule against him as friendly fire and noted that though he is not a thin-skinned person, he needs to set the record straight about his endeavors, and that he will outline this and more in Parliament this Thursday, December 15th.
consultation with the board membership of the party, the executive membership, and they have given me a mandate to do certain things. I expect to remain faithful to the mandate that has been given to me by the people of Central Kingstown. I want all and sundry to know of what is my political responsibility and my commitment and integrity over the years in terms of political service. I warn and caution, however, no one, absolutely no one, must take my contribution to politics for granted. And I will speak in a detailed way on this matter when I address the Parliament next Thursday, so that people shall know what direction I will go politically in service to this country. I have paid my dues, and the disparagement must stop. And those in the New Democratic Party who believe that I have a contribution to make, one way or the other, need to bring it to an end. I cannot continue indefinitely to be the victim of friendly fire.
Meanwhile, opposition leader and president of the NDP, Dr. Godwin Friday, advised Leacock not to give credence to what was said and called on persons who are demeaning his colleague to cease and desist.
You and I have had many conversations. We have had since and before the leadership matter. And these have been cordial conversations. I do not support any kind of public disparagement of any person in the New Democratic Party. I do not support the matters of the private matters of the New Democratic Party being dealt with in any public way. I mean, there are ways in which we can deal with things publicly and privately, and we must know that I will not support for any member of the party, whether it's a member in the Parliament or an executive member or anybody who is working in the leadership of the party, to be disparaged by anyone. And I want that to stop as well. But Major, we must continue with our discussions, and I know that you have given your commitment to seeing that the New Democratic Party goes forward. You're giving your commitment to me, and I hold you by it. Thank you.
As part of the continuing efforts to promote productivity among Vincentians, Zone 3 of the Adult and Continuing Education Division held a graduation ceremony on Tuesday afternoon at the Evesham Learning Resource Center for persons who have successfully completed courses held over the past 6 weeks in the areas of culinary arts and caring for the elderly. Nikita Tony has more in this report.
Seeking to provide education and training opportunities for persons who, because of various reasons, have not been able to access formal training through the educational system, the Adult and Continuing Education ACE Division in the Ministry of Education continues to provide an avenue for these persons to develop into productive and innovative citizens. At a ceremony on Tuesday evening, December 13, 2016, 29 participants in the ACE Zone 3 area graduated from 2 6-week courses in the areas of culinary arts and care for the elderly. Noting that the 2 courses fall under the Upgrading of Capacity Building and Occupational Skills Program, Zonal Coordinator Wanda Descent congratulated the graduates on their success, noting that they will benefit greatly from equipping themselves with such skills.
Zone 3 comprises of the 18 villages in Marico, Lomans and Lourdes Grace. Adult and Continuing Education Zone 3 is pleased to be associated with this graduation. We know for sure that in the future you would use it to help you in your personal and professional development. You continue to log on to ACE Zone 3 to improve your personal and professional development.
Commending the ACE Division Zone 3 staff for seeing it fit to invest in the development of occupational skills in the community, Culinary Arts Facilitator Alonzo Daisley highlighted that it was the second time in 6 months that persons have graduated from a culinary arts course, with persons even repeating the course to gain more skills.
Enrolling in a course of this nature will enable you to learn new techniques that you would not have known, and learn more recipes more than you ever can imagine, even though you're very good at cooking. I want to commend you for making it this far, and I am also expecting nothing but the best from you. And it is your responsibility to live up to your high standards. You have set a high standard, and I want you to live up to that.
Highlighting that the need for persons to properly understand how to care and assist the elderly has become a major issue in the society, facilitator of the Care for the Elderly course, Sherry Sargent, said she is of the view that training provided throughout the course will assist the participants in offering quality care to the elderly.
The psychological, nutritional, and emotional changes of the elderly and common conditions faced by these individuals were also brought to light and taught. Persons were taught how to do simple range of motion exercises, proper positioning, wheelchair and bed transfer, and also assist these persons with many activities of daily living. Aspects of professional behavior and the need for confidentiality were also brought to light, as this is a common problem faced by persons hiring caregivers to take care of homebound loved ones.
Of the 29 graduates, 25 completed the culinary arts course, while the remaining 4 received training through the Care for the Elderly program. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
The Point Massive organization is expressing confidence that the community will take the title of Best Lit Community for a 4th consecutive year this year. Promoter of the Point Massive organization, Clotilda Hoyt, says they are expected to kick off their program of activities this Thursday, December 15th. When asked about the difference of creativity and style for this year's design compared to previous years, Hoyt said they have simply made lemonade out of lemons, adding that their theme this year seeks to showcase the spirit of the people of the North Windward area, which was heavily impacted by the passage of the recent trough system.
We are so excited about our opening. We want to invite the whole of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We just have the recent trough, and there was lots of, dirt in the road. Houses been, washed away. And now he has designed the tractor, which, we had need to clear the roads. He had designed a concrete mixer because as soon as, the government organize and settle down, they will have to start building houses for people. So you need the concrete mixer, to start, building back houses. Also, the forklift, it's there to lift the cement. On the 19th, you have all the churches coming together, and where the church is going to participate in that festival, on the 19th. And the 23rd, it will be a Christmas party for the children.